Now, across Texas, the issue is.
I'm Stephen Dial in Dallas.
I'm Rudy Koski in Austin.
And I'm Greg Grugan in Houston, and this is Texas, the issue is.
There is a bipartisan effort in the House and Senate aimed at making the penalty tougher for criminals who cut their ankle monitors. Months ago in Dallas, 2 hospital workers were killed by a suspect who was in the hospital to witness the birth of his child. Months earlier, he was arrested for cutting his ankle monitor. I spoke to Dallas State Representative Rafael Anchia.
It's tragic that we had to learn about the fact that if you cut off your ankle monitor, your parole is not revoked because 2 healthcare workers at Methodist Hospital were murdered in the heart of the community that I represent.
Did it shock you to find out that this wasn't just an isolated incident about an offender who had an ankle monitor and cutting it off and then committing a crime?
The Board of Pardons and Paroles had failed to revoke the parole for a violent criminal who had been arrested on a number of different occasions, who had violated his parole, who had tested positive for drugs while on parole. And when all of that came out, I just thought to myself, what were the last best chances that we would have had to stop this violent murderer from killing these healthcare workers? What do you mean if you cut off your ankle monitor, you don't immediately go back to jail, right? Like that one doesn't even, pass the basic test of common sense.
There are some divisive issues this legislative session. Do you think this is your series of bills could be one of those times where we see bipartisanship? What have you heard from your colleagues on the other side of the aisle in reference to this?
On the ankle monitor bill, we already have a Senate sponsor, Senator Huffman from Houston, who's a Republican. She's working on that bill in the Senate. And so we anticipate we're going to have some broad bipartisan and bicameral support. I have Republican joint authors that are ready to go on the ankle monitor bill. The other bills are also common sense. Other members are coming up to me on the House floor saying, hey, I want to get on those bills. I can't believe those things are not already law, and let's work together. So I'm hopeful in an environment that sometimes can be divisive, that we can have broad bipartisan support for these common sense reforms.
Why now? Do you think that, unfortunately, the Methodist issue happened, but that you can use this tragedy and turn it into something positive?
People have been fired from the Board of Pardons and Paroles. There's been an internal investigation by that organization, the state auditors looking at it. It's entirely possible that after all of these investigations take place, we need a major overhaul of the Board of Pardons and Paroles because in at least these 2 cases, the ankle monitor violations did not cause them to revoke parole, which is really what should have happened.
Who's at fault? What levels of failure was this on? Was it just on pardon and parole or lawmakers at fault as well?
So we think a top to bottom of pardons and paroles and sort of holding the executive branch to account. That's our job as a co-equal branch of government. And at the same time, we're going to look at TDCJ. Have the monies that have been diverted from TDCJ by the governor cause there to be not enough supervision there, not enough guards in an environment where it's hard enough to hire guards in the first place, so that they're having to let people out, violent criminals out on these ankle monitors when instead they should be in jail. So there's a top to bottom on this as well. The fact that none of my colleagues nor I knew that this was not the law already is also a problem, or we're going to try to remedy that this session.
That interview seemed like there is an appetite to have teamwork. Rudy Koski, what's your one word?
Molasses.
Okay, Greg Grugan.
I'm taking a page out of the Koski playbook with a hyphenated word, no-brainer.
Thank you for your hyphen.